Yo, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the 3% Show. I don't even have a title for this. I just call it God Talk, the black and white of things. I am the host, Jay Davis. We have Big Sweat here. We have Jericho Young, life coach. We have my dear, one of the dudes who walked with me when I began to come into my greatness, was too scared to admit it. Alias Mr. Too Damn Good. Alias The Boot. Alias Zoe. But welcome again to the 3% Show, where my motto and the theory that I came up with years ago was people will show you 97% of their truth. However, the 3% that they do not talk has unspoken power in their life. And it could be the worst things. It could be triggers. It could be trauma. Yet it can be the most satisfying things. It can be a great event. It can be the thing that thrives you, pushes you, and really leads you to where you are. So with that being said, it's showtime. So again, I have three gentlemen. Two of my guests couldn't make it, but if they pop in, I'll go ahead and admit them. But today, I just wanted to basically talk to fellas about things that's going on in the world. Just check on some pretty cool people that I admire and I respect their opinion, and just check on people. Again, I'm gonna start with Big Sweat. Just give us a little bit of background about yourself. Well, first and foremost, how y'all brothers doing? Y'all good?
Everything straight.
Everything good. Everything's
With
good.
COVID going on, everybody straight, households together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tired of being inside.
Yeah.
Tired of not being able to travel. You know, we usually plan about 3-4 trips a year. Can't go to none of them.
True that. What about you, Zal? How's the parenting and in the house and?
Oh man, it's better than amazing, man. I can't have it no other way, man. It's something that I always dreamed of, and I have the opportunity to experience it. And hey, man, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
So everything's still cool with COVID. You and the wife, yeah, she still love you.
Oh yeah, man. You
Outside
know
of each
we.
other?
Yeah, we well, we are considered those essential workers, so we constantly working, man. We haven't stopped or slowed down since this happened. We did have it kind of impact our household for a second, and we was down for a month, but you know, luckily we didn't, you know, have any bad things happen to any one of us. We came out okay. We just more cautious on taking more vitamins and making sure the girls straight pretty much. So, you know, got to go out there and still try to help people in a way. So that's what we do.
Absolutely. So you figured out that toilet paper is not more essential than vitamins in today's time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Everybody hands ashy as hell.
You gotta go stock up on your black maca, your vitamin D, your vitamin C.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man.
Black seed oil. You gotta get that
your elderberry.
Yeah, all that.
Hey, it's an old school thing I learned. Elderberry. Take one a day and keep every
Take one a day, man. Get that immune system up.
Look,
get your white cells fighting.
I must be in the South. But I'll put it like this. I'm gonna be quiet. I'll let you all start. So I'll start with Big Sweat and Jericho and Zoe. Just give us a little background about who you
might
are.
have wanted to start Mr. Young over there. He the man. I ain't got the fancy background.
Well, you got
it's all good.
You got this Ross.
Man, you start with the elder statesman, man. You always start with the man that got them. I don't know. That man might have a lot more knowledge than what we offer.
I'm Jay Young, life coach, father, just a reality speaker, thinker.
All right. Anything else you want to elaborate? The past?
I'll just keep it short and simple, right to the point.
Okay. No chaser. What about you, young sir?
Oh man, I'm Collins Alonzo Wade, better known as to most people, Mr. Zoe. And of course, the nickname that CJ gave me when we was in college, Mr. Too Damn Good.
Gerald,
but man, I just go out and bless people on purpose, man. That's what been my whole life. Just moving forward. still chasing those entrepreneur dreams, setting things up so that I could build those foundations for my daughters. Really working on a 200-year plan for my family. And, you know, I'm doing this for my last name, not my first. So, you know, I just take it like that to that level. And man, and just like I said, man, enjoy being a father, being, you know, me and CJ roommates to brothers to everything, you know, doing everything under the sun, having fun, and then also checking on each other, and then still keeping that connection with each other throughout the years. And, you know, the crazy thing about it is we met each other almost 20 years ago, and we still 20 years strong. And I appreciate that for you, bro.
Yeah, same here, man. Same. You, Kid, Damien. So yeah, hey, that's my man. That dude, man. You had to have been on them trips, bro. We gonna get into some of that.
He ain't gonna want you to tell me that.
What about you? What about you?
And I guess I'm just the young brother. I'm a father. I don't want to say entrepreneur because I dabble in a lot of things, and that's mainly because I'm bored. But my goals have been just to pass on the knowledge that I've been given from other older brothers and passing on to the younger men and younger generation in hopes that it helped them, and just being more transparent because when we was coming up, you know, my uncles, my grandfather, you know, they wasn't telling us this stuff that we needed to know. I believe at an earlier age that would help us as young men. We found out after we started going through it.
Exactly.
Telling us the real and the truth about relationships, life in general. So I try to pass that information on to my younger generation earlier so they don't fall on their faces like we did. Even though we learned how to get back up.
Exactly.
And that's interesting.
Exactly.
Too, because, you know, I still have that quote that I believe that people in our age group grew up around 1980 lies, where instead of people being straight shooters with you, your family dictated and how to tell you what kind of person you were going to be. Your actual family, who's your real family, weren't allowed in your life if they didn't approve of it. You have friends of family that were considered cousins. And, you know, with mental health, anxiety, depression, I commend any woman or young man, but any woman between the age of 55 all the way to 40, because that's where you had, you know, incest, you had molestation, you had so many things going on within the Black community that had no voice at the time. Why I'm having this is just like this young brother said, you know, you look at people who are older than us, grandparents more, and they have this cookie cutter viewpoint where if you didn't see them arguing, everything was fine. But nobody at that time was telling us how they got here. They didn't tell us about the breakups to make up. They didn't tell us about the pain. They didn't tell us about admitting to their own faults and more. So with that being said, I just want to know how you brothers feel. How do you feel about the state of a Black male in America, no matter it's our age and younger with younger people? Do you feel that we're still striving towards maybe, let's say, 40 years before we were here, how straight-laced men were, how they want to build, how it was a community organization as far as feeding the village and more? Where do you see us going with everything going on now with COVID, everything that's happening within the capital, the nation's capital, how we saw how our counterparts rushed the Capitol, showed they asses for the most part? Do you think that lit a fire underneath us to say, hey, we need to unify, we need to take care of our business personally, individually, and collectively so we can go ahead and build for the future to protect our families, to protect ourselves?
Honestly, I don't see I don't see any change. I think temporarily it lights a fire under us, and we start looking at ways to motivate ourselves and do better. But then over the long haul, we go back to the same old. We lose our way. We become complacent in the things that we do. Our community is not as tight and as networked as it was when I was growing up. Because when I grew up, you can go down the corner, you can go down a block or two and ask for some sugar and some eggs. You would get it. Or if you was outside and the neighbors saw you doing something wrong, they were going to chastise you as if they were your parents. We just looked out for each other more as a community back when I was younger. Now I don't feel like we look out for each other as a community, as brother to brother. I don't think we take care of each other like we should. Woman to woman, man to woman. We just not looking out for each other like we should. It's just not there. The strength of our ethnicity is not like it needs to be. I think we got to go back and really see what worked, but not go back and see just what worked. Go back and see what was broken and fix what was broken, at the same time becoming stronger and better as a community.
Mm.
Mhm.
Y'all feel anything else? As
Yeah,
far
even what he said, I agree with you. Even with some of the things that you said, I think right now it's a small percentage of men who are trying to make that change, trying to make that spark, but not enough where it's making like a big impact. Because I do see a shift that's coming along, but again, it's coming very slowly. And right now, the role reversals are very heavy right now. You have more women that's taking on that masculine role now, and you have a lot softer type of men. And even like right before we started recording, I kind of spoke about a little bit. You have this word that's been floating around here more recently, which is toxic masculinity. So those men who want to step up and be that man, some of them are kind of like timid about doing it, not knowing how, society is going to take it, especially when it pertains to us. Any other man, like you said, they stormed the Capitol. It's just like, okay, they just, those men who stormed the Capitol, look, they just manly men. But with us, it's like, I don't know how we want to go about doing that, how they go look about it, because we still kind of afraid in a sense of this feminine movement and not sure how to move forward. And then even like you were saying though too, a lot of us, we need to learn how to embrace one another though too. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying too, as far as like even like the 80s and stuff. You go back to the 80s from movies, from gangs and things like that, where we were split up. We were against each other so much we can't even walk by each other without necessarily looking at each other mean. It can't even be a simple, greeting. Hey, how you doing, brother? Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
It seems to always be a problem for the most part, or not even saying nothing. It's just no words at all.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. I feel like in today's time with the social media platforms that each and every person has, it's an opportunity to uplift your shining stars in your community. Or if not in the community, it's no different than when we used to hear somebody could rap. You would travel across different places, you know, drive 45 minutes to enjoy a freestyle more. So for me, I think that when you hear people doing good work, it's your job to give them a platform. It's your job to build them up before they become this celebrity figure. Because I think that our young leaders um, are in our communities now. They just don't know who they are. And that goes back to even me as a kid, you know, just watching different people. Zoe can tell you when I was, you know, quote unquote in college, but I only came to college to eat and hold seminars on relationship advice. But we had a gentleman named Dean Lee that, you know, spoke life into young people, and he led by example. And he told you the good, bad, and ugly about certain things if you asked him. So I think like the state of a black man in America, number one, we have to have a conversation with ourselves. Period. We have to have a conversation with ourselves and admitting to ourselves if it's good, bad, or ugly. Number two, I think we have to pick our battles because not everybody is meant to be that general leader. You might be a worker ant. You might be a medical ant. You know what I'm saying? There's different things where you belong, and we can't get so caught up in what people consider this manly approach to things. Like he was saying, I've always been an emotional kind of dude. I'm an empath almost. I feel what people are going through before, you know, sometimes they even admit it to me, or it's because I genuinely care for people. So I think in the community, when we want our kids to be free thinkers, right? Free thinking is nice, but sometimes I'm like, you have to have something to grow up to. You have to have something to grow up for. We can't give our kids everything now. And especially in this sensitive time, it makes it hard. So with young men, you know, I challenge them to make eye contact. I challenge them to speak. I put kids in positions where they have to react, not because I'm trying to be mean or anything, but it's because once you leave the covering of where we are, you're in the real world that don't know you and can care less about who you are.
Right.
That's something that's huge. That's why I think men, like I know Zoe do things. I know this brother, his fraternity probably do things all the time. I looked at your book, and your book is just black and white. It's not for the culture. It's for the realization of who we are and what we are. So that's why I was like, what do you think the state of the black male is that you see? Because we have these TV shows. I mean, it's a shame on Love and Hip Hop where it shows women being aggressive and being bosses, but it's sad to see that when they look at the men, all they do is look at the ground. You right, babe. You right. I messed up. You know, it's a lot of that. And television and entertainment shouldn't raise us, but if that's what you see, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like a pass to be like, well, I can just, they gonna forgive me anyway. There's no balance.
Well,
There's no more Dr. Huxtables and more. Go ahead, bro.
yeah, I'm not trying to cut you off, but this is one of the things that I look at and think about. I was listening to like Eddie Griffin the other night, and he said something that made totally sense to everything that we talking about. He said, when you look at television, it's called television programming. That means they're going to program us regardless of how we look at it. But then you got to think about when you're looking at reading is fun to mental. It's fun to learn, but you got to be willing to do that. And I think a lot of times that our generations, like I go back, man, when I came back home, I started a whole program, like from the ground up. It's still going today, even though I'm not there. But the concept or the vision that I had, and, you know, to piggyback on what you said, CJ, it was that I'm a visionary individual. I see things that a lot of people don't see. And a lot of times you got to have people that's willing to work with you and plans together. And I think that for a lot of times in our Black communities, our Black men are afraid of a visionary because it's not their idea. And so instead of them saying, let's work together to build a stronger foundation for our young people, we rather say, like we said, we see us against each other. One of the things that when I moved back home, man, I think I was yearning for the relationship like I had with Dean Lee, and I couldn't find it. To this day, I can't find it. You know, I'm looking for, hey man, mentor me, show me what you're doing, something great that I see you giving, you able to give back to the community, not just being present, but you able to go in your pocket and do it. So show me how to get to that point. If it's real estate, if it's investing, whatever it is, show me that same road and that same path so that I can show someone else. And a lot of times I think that men in that older generation, they got afraid of the concept to be able to pass the torch. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times they're afraid to pass it. And so what that does is that has the division between our generation, their generation. Mm-hmm. And now you see the division again coming to the generation behind us.
Absolutely.
Even to kind of add on even to what you said and what you were talking about, I get what you're saying, even as far as being a visionary, being able to see. And I think the problem that comes into play even with that is we could see, like, even I know, like you said, you're a visionary. So a lot of times we might have ideas and things like that. We're able to see it in our head, but other people are not able to see it. So it's a matter of relating that to the person so they have an understanding. Because just like we're speaking about, even as far as movies and television, it's easy for a lot of people to be impressed by that because they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if you have a moving picture, like a movie, like a television show, then they just sit there and absorb everything and usually mimic the things that they see on there because they don't have those men even in their life to kind of go after, even in real life. And even when you're speaking about even like passing the torch, and I don't think necessarily for all, you know, the older gentlemen, it's hard for them to pass the torch where they're afraid, but even the mentality of younger people, they really don't want the torch.
Yeah. And I think also with the older generation, they don't necessarily know how to do it. Because remember, we're coming from a generation where I heard a comedian say he doesn't even know his daddy. He doesn't even know his mother and father's story because they don't talk about it a lot. They have gray areas. So conversation never gets in depth. And some of those times, and I think of the way that we're raised, and some people, you know, have branched out and started their own things, and some people have traditional. thought process. But communication, I think that's something that we lost in the Black community. It's talking texture, and I will always say that. Thursday night, I was coming home. I'm going to watch my cartoons from 4 to 5. I'm going to clean up the house. I'm going to play for a little bit. By 7 o'clock, majority of everybody I knew was on the couch watching Cosby Show, A Different World, all on one sofa. We all tuned in, and that's when we had, the compassion to sit and talk, and we had a dinner table. Versus now, it seems a little scattered. Dinners. And that's what leads me. Do you feel that men nowadays have genuinely good friends? Or on my last podcast, the young ladies about sisterhood, they said intimate friends. And what they mean by intimate means a for real clear, it doesn't matter if they're male or female, but they genuinely have love for you, period, in a respectful friendship. Do you feel that men nowadays have lacked that? Or do you think that we hold on to our issues, our pains, our worries to ourselves, or just keep the same people around for no reason? I mean, do you think that black men nowadays have an outlet?
We got outlets. We have I believe we have genuine friends, genuine brothers who care about us. Just like you. You'll call and check on me, I'll call and check on you. But if I don't tell you what's going on in my life, then how you know that I need help?
Well, that's going to lead to part two.
Like I'm saying, if I give you a smile and be like, well, how you doing, young brother? And I'll be like, well, I'm doing good. I'm making it. I'm surviving. Then if I'm not opening up to you about my pain, or I'm not feeling, the problem is just feeling comfortable to open up. We've been preached to that we're not supposed to have feelings. Things are not supposed to hurt us. We're supposed to just shrug it off, put it on the back, and keep struggling along. What I've learned since I've gotten older is I have friends. I have friends who genuinely care, and I need the information. I need the guidance. I need to know whether to go left or right sometimes.
Is it a need or is it a want?
It's a want.
Okay.
And it's a want. It's a want for the knowledge, and it's a need because it's a want because I want to become a better me. I want to become a better man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want my sons and my daughters and the next generation to go through the processes that I've had to go through. So it's a want for the knowledge, and it's a need. I need to know how to be a better me, a better man, how to process, how to survive the pitfalls that we are going to go through, because it's not a question of if we're going to go through the pitfalls. The pitfalls are going to happen, and I need to know when I fall in that hole, how to climb out that hole. And my grandfather is not here to tell me that. Mm-hmm. My uncles, they're just now opening up and telling me these truths that I didn't know. See, when I grew up, I saw a 30-year marriage, and I saw a 30-year marriage. Oh, they were happy all the time. No, they had conversations on money. They had issues with fidelity. It's just different issues that my uncles are now, being the older statesmen in my family, that are navigating me through. That wasn't spoken. Nothing that you saw, because they taught you. What I learned is the older generation didn't want to expose you to the pain and the trauma and the trouble. But by trying not to expose you to the pain and the trauma, they still caused you pain and trauma. We got 8 kids, and 4 of them are for this young man, and another 4 of them for this young man. But the 2 in the middle are from somebody else. It's a lot of stuff that the older generation hid from us, thinking that it wouldn't hurt us. And I didn't learn this myself until I became a parent, that the avenues and the ways we go not to put our kids through distress and pain, we will cover up some uglies and try to make everything look good to keep them from going through that pain.
That 3%.
But and though you don't want them to go through that pain, I told myself I would never lie to my kids. If they asked me, I was gonna tell them the hard truth, because I want them to be able to process. I want them to be able to understand that daddy being married 20 years now, it wasn't a always happy-go-lucky, we got along. It was days where I might have wanted to throw your mama and your stepmama, whoever, out the window.
And vice versa.
And vice versa. She might have wanted to go get that pistol and end me right then and there. But through the communication and the avenues that relationships are commitments. It's not gonna be always gonna be ebb and flow. It's not gonna always be pretty, but through communication and hard work to be committed to one another or be committed to solving problems, that's how we made it. And even in friendships are commitments. It's a commitment to be that good person to that next brother, that sister. So when we check on each other, we check on one another and we look out for one another, it's of a genuineness. And sometimes we have to open up and create that safe space for where we can talk to one another without feeling retribution or feeling like, well, damn, they're going to talk about me because, man, I messed up in this relationship number 10 and I done messed up. Nah, I messed up on relationship number 10. Help me get number 11 right.
Yeah.
Or if I'm showing too much masculinity, well, you need to soften up. Or maybe I'm too soft. Well, you need to toughen up. Nah, I'm soft. I was created soft. I was created emotional. I have emotions. I ain't gonna always show them, but I got emotions. Yeah. Sometimes I need to let those emotions be shown and processed. I'm gonna cry. I ain't gonna always cry behind closed doors no more. Hey, I got a little tear right now. Help me out. I'm struggling. I need your help. Absolutely. Give me the knowledge I need to feed me, to help me be better, be a better person. And so it's just an ongoing, we got to take off these masks, man. I need the older generation to take off the masks, and I need the younger generation to want to learn and want to catch that torch. It's like being in a 4x4 and you don't want the baton. I want the baton. I may not run as fast as you. I may not get to the finish line like you got to the finish line, but I still need that baton because I still want to get to that finish line. And that's where we need to go at. That's how these relationships need to foster themselves. That's how us as men need to start taking care of each other. One, you got to be willing to open up. When a man asks you if you need help, you need something, you got to be vulnerable and open up and be like, hey, brother, I need your help. I ain't doing too good. I got a smile on my face, but I ain't doing too good. And be comfortable in having those conversations and having that safe place to open up and talk, like we do at barbershops or like we do when we have these family get-togethers. We being them young kids, we used to be outside playing with the cousins and the brothers and sisters while the older parents was in there having those conversations. We just missed them because when we came around, kids around, go outside, boy, go outside. And they finished having their conversations. Now that we're older, I feel like in the 20s, we should have started having those conversations, but they didn't include us until we got into the 30s and 40s. And then they included us. And now we looking like, well, I wish you would have told me this 10, 15 years ago. You had a roadmap that I needed. I was missing that map.
Well, see, that's the reason why I brought these gentlemen on here too, because I can say that I witnessed watching Zoe, just coming from instant connection, just like, I see you shining. I see you. You see me, I see you. And even with Jericho, they got their point of views. Zoe, is there anything you want to touch on that? Because I know Jericho has, his book is awesome. The Law of Subtraction, it's a dope book. It's a black and white.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that, man. I'm most definitely have to get that.
It'll have
but yeah, man, the whole thing of what you're saying is a whole lot of truth in that. One of the things that I learned through my walk in life is just stress kills.
I remember.
That would take a lot of our old generation men out, because those things that we are learning to do now as men, they didn't do. They kept it held and it killed them. How Paul died from a heart attack, a stress, a stroke. So those things of what I've learned is that I had to learn how to start talking about my problems and my issues with my wife. And even though it could give her vulnerability over me, but I have to trust her. And I think a lot of times in life, we don't want to trust anybody with those things that make us vulnerable. And what happens is if we hold it in, it takes us out completely. Like, it takes you out. And a lot of times you have to learn how to make that balance. I tell my wife all the time, like, sweetie, I ain't had nobody show me how to be a husband. I'm doing this from scratch. Like, so if I'm not doing it right, I'm sorry, but this is what you're getting. And thus far, going on 7 years strong, I've been doing a pretty good job. And so, those are the things. And not only that, man, just by me having daughters is like made me become a whole totally different man. So I gotta be that example, like each and every day, even though I'm like, man, I want to have God talk just like everybody else. But then I'm like, dude, I got daughters. forget that. I got with you. Like, I know how I was, so therefore I know.
You was
No way.
down, boy. You
So-
was a good one.
So, you know, it's those things, but I think that as Black men, we have to have that need for friendship and that want for friendship, because having somebody being able to talk to get, man, I can't throw up everything on my wife. I can't do it. I can't give her all my hurt. I can't give her all my frustration, because some of that frustration might be with her. So I have to be able to have somebody to talk to. And then I got to realize and say, you know, one of the things that I've learned in this marriage is that I can be frustrated with her at times, but then I have to go back and say, what could I do better to make it easier for her? Because she could be frustrated as well. So you got to look at all that from every angle. And I think that, you know, us in a generation we're in now, man, it's okay to go talk to a therapist.
Wait, hold that thought, because I got something for that too. Hold that thought. What you got, Jericho?
Even to kind of touch on what everybody was saying, and just listen to what everybody was saying, even as far as having that person to go to, having that man to go to have that conversation. It doesn't have to be multiple if you can't find multiple, but at least having that one man friend that you could be open with. And like you said, where you're able to be vulnerable and be like, hey, let me tell you what's going on. Let me be real with you. I'm not going to hold back, and not having that fear set in place. Because a lot of people look at that fear and thinking, what if they say this? What if they say that? What if they go tell somebody? So what? Even if they do, you know, it's a matter of you getting out that release, because even like you were saying, as far as even that pressure, even with stress, too much of that can break you down, and not only mentally, but physically, because your body is going to react off of how your mind is thinking. So people don't realize the toll that it plays even with that stress and that pressure. So I definitely agree that you need some type of outlet, you know, also. And then I know even you gentlemen was also speaking about emotions. I know me and you, CJ, we kind of had like a, you know, we done had conversations on this a little bit.
Yeah.
When it comes to even emotions and stuff, we all have emotions. However, us even as men, especially, are not supposed to put those emotions into action. So we're not supposed to be emotional, which is the difference. The reason I even say that, and I've spoken to many people about this, because when you are emotional, you do not think logically about things. Your thoughts are completely thrown off. So yes, if you have that time where you might need to shed a couple of tears and stuff like that, but when you're actually thinking logical, you're getting out the frustration, you're getting out the thought, you're getting out what you're going through, but not being emotional about it. So it's a matter of having an understanding of your emotions and not just going completely overboard being emotional, you know, because as an example, no matter what it is, whether it's love, hate, envy, no matter what it is, you notice once those people get out of that zone of emotions, they kind of snap back to reality. They're like, oh, I was tripping. I don't know what I was thinking about. Like, my fault. Hey, I'm sorry. This, or somebody got to tell them, like, hey, you wasn't even acting like yourself.
Absolutely.
And sometimes they even black it out because they so emotional, they're not even in control of what's going on at that particular time.
Absolutely.
So, you know, it is okay for men to be real man and have that, you know, that softness to them. But at the same time, that's it. Even that super soft side, and that's why we even spoke about toxic masculinity, that doesn't even make sense anyway, because it's only targeted towards us. You don't hear any other race where they saying, "Are you being too toxic, too much of a manly man?"
Right.
You don't hear that
That's
at all.
true.
You can't be
That's
Spartan.
true.
They didn't say nothing about this is Sparta.
We are three.
And even like lastly, even with us, even having an outlet, and even like you were saying, sometimes you might not be able to speak to your wife or your girlfriend or something like that. You need that real man talk, because men are going to talk different to other men versus a man talking to a woman. He's going to naturally want to soften up how he talk. He's not going to talk like he's talking to his friends, his homies. So he going to try to cater or alter the conversation so he don't come off with a certain tone to his woman, his wife that he's speaking to. And she might not be able to give him the feedback that he really needs, you know, at that particular time. Because of course we got shoulders. We made, you know, men are made to carry that weight, you know, but we still need to be able to release it. Women have hips. So it's a difference.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's true.
And that's what I say, you know, like a quote I always say, if you don't want to know the truth, don't ask your real friends, ask your other friends.
Don't ask your yes man.
But then when it comes down to your real friends, you can't charge or hold your real friends accountable for truths that you're not speaking to them, so you can have that
Exactly.
conversation, because that's supposed to be your safe base. And that leads to I'm glad you all are saying that, because everything ties into the next question I have. And this is just a general question, okay? Because we all hear things, we all know the conversations dealing with black men and white black women and more. And as we hear about PTSD stemming from our environment, history, and society, do you feel that more men should involve their family into going to therapists to try to
Yes.
get around that?
Yes, man. I would I will be the first to say yes like that, brother. Because the thing is, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. My wife could be frustrated with me. She can't tell me how she really feels, because guess what? I'm gonna hold on to what she said to me, and I'm gonna get mad and do the same
Face
thing.
value. Mm-hmm.
So, and then there's things that she needs to talk about that I might not understand. Like, both my parents are still alive. She lost her father. That's something that's dear to her. And so therefore, I know the woman that I saw when I married her. And when that happened to her, I know what she's dealing with slowly. And so I encourage her to go talk to a therapist. Hey, we go together. We could start out together, then we go to separate rooms and you could talk. But because even as I am as a man, it's still some things, man, that I deal with in my past that I know it still affects me. It
Absolutely.
I trigger, and then I'm like, dang, dude, I know I trigger like that. I was literally talking with my dad by like a week ago, and he's dealing with some health issues. And I'm talking to him because I'm like, hey, man, I know I don't come around a lot, but I kind of want you here. I'm having that talk with him. And I'm pleading to him to, hey, man, let somebody come over here that we get you some help to cook you a couple different meals a week. I don't need no help. The whole time I'm sitting there, I'm smiling and laughing with him. But man, when I left,
Yeah.
it drained me.
Yeah.
And that was not healthy. Like, it wasn't healthy at all. And I literally had to turn to my brothers and I had to say, hey, look, next time y'all want to talk to him about that, bro, I can't do it. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. I said, because that took all my energy out. And
Yeah.
I literally like dropped my head. But the thing is that if I would have never had that conversation and then turned to my brothers and said I had that conversation, I wouldn't be able to be where I'm at right now to understand. He haven't learned what I learned, and he doesn't understand what I need from him. So I could tell him all day what I need, but if he's not willing to act on it, it's nothing I can do about it. So the thing I got to look at it and say, okay, the other part was a year ago, it's been about 2 years. 2 years ago, I got diagnosed as pre-diabetic, right? And of course, when you're going through that, you trying to figure it all out. I just had a newborn, man. I'm making big moves. I'm doing some great things, but I had to realize I had to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I started working out. I started eating differently. Still eat different to this day. But the thing that I knew that I realized, I had to be honest with one of my daughters, because she said, "Daddy, why do you eat different foods from what we eat?" I had to say, well, sweetie, Daddy don't want to get sick, and Daddy want to be here to see you graduate. When I said, well, Daddy's just eating different because he's trying to be healthy, she said, I don't understand. So I had to go down to the layman's term and say, Daddy don't want to get sick. Because if Daddy's sick, Daddy might not be here to see you graduate. That makes me feel so much better than me being a 40-year-old man going to my dad's house, grabbing his doctor's papers and seeing that my dad is dying before my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm pleading with him, hey man, do this. So when you look at that and you think about it, you have to think about it from a standpoint of having those relationships, having those conversations, having those things that we all need.
Mm-hmm.
Shoulder cry on, CJ, me and you, sure, we don't cry towards each other, share stories with each other. You get what I'm saying? And that what makes our bond strong. That's why it's 20 years.
Yeah.
If we never would have experienced that with each other, we'd be like, bro, who CJ who?
I don't talk to therapy.
So,
As men
right.
go, we have the option of therapy and stopping that notation that Black people don't go to therapy or
Right.
lock people up in the back room and more. I think that's huge, and honesty is a lot harder. But I mean, I can't lie. It's one of the reasons why I won't have kids in my age, because when I was young, I prided myself on not having kids. But now at 42, I'm like, if I have a kid, if I have a daughter or son, but especially a daughter, in my mind, I got to eat, drink. I got to live long enough for her to not have a broken daddy syndrome.
Right.
When life could happen, time is not in my control and more. Let me get to my man Jericho, because I just want to see if you have a different viewpoint with therapy.
Absolutely. With therapy, and just like we were kind of talking about, I think it was before we start recording, certain things that's been thrown out in the atmosphere where a lot of us are gravitating towards. Because I'm pretty sure, even with all you gentlemen, let's go back maybe 13 years as an example. It wasn't a lot of us speaking about therapy.
Right.
So here you're seeing from celebrities and all these other people, that's another word that's been thrown out there. Yeah, we need therapy. We need therapy.
I do.
True enough, you know, just like we're discussing, we need that outlet. We need to speak. However, and I'm gonna tie this together, I think even with the therapy for the women, I think it's very beneficial. Not necessarily for a man. For us, we still need that outlet. Now, listen, hear me out. We still need that outlet. But the reason I say that is because even with therapists, their whole job is to pull out on emotions. And I kind of spoke about emotions because for the most part, when they're talking, they're like, so tell me, how does it feel? They use certain keywords and triggers. So what about this? So how does that make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell me about this. They try to keep pulling, and it may help temporarily, but even the therapist's job is to keep you coming back. So they don't hit all the way down to the root of the problem. They hit on this particular problem. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and see you back here in maybe about 2 weeks and stuff like that.
I don't know. I mean, I agree with.
I'm saying as an even as an example. Now, with some people, let's say even when they go to therapy, as far as men, because again, the only reason they going because how it's been thrown out here lately and saying it's okay, let's go. I even heard even what Michael B. Jordan saying after he done the character, even with Killmonger. I heard him speak about that. So me, and you know kind of how I think, I'm like, okay, it's the reason why they're putting this in the interview and why they allow him to say this though too, because it's going to trigger for a lot of people who don't have that outlet. A lot of men who don't have nobody to talk to. They'll be like, well, I don't know this person. I can be all the way blunt and open with them because who they gonna tell?
Right.
It's a matter of them again, just trying to go about it in an incorrect way. Just my opinion.
But what's the difference between like for me, I don't use a therapist. I have a life coach, somebody to motivate me to do or motivate me to be a better me every day or to be better in the things and the goals that I want, not to focus so much on trauma or anything that's happened to me in the past. But even if we gloss over something like that, it's more of to help me be a better man and to strive forward and to connect with being just moving forward, period, and connecting to my goals. So
I think you just
therapy,
answered your question.
I mean, therapy. I mean,
because I mean, you
well,
I'll say that
a life coach and a therapist is different, though.
But you
just real
trauma. You're not dealing.
Yeah, but just real.
I mean, you deal with your trauma, but it's not so much you're not dealing with it. You're not focusing on what made you suffer. You're focusing on how to move forward and better yourself, and focus on your goals and accomplishing your goals. That's I don't know. I feel like it's different to me.
So with therapists, this is the reason why
therapists, you sit on the couch and you touch on
therapy is nice. And this goes to kind of what Jericho is saying, but a different way. When we talk about therapy and how he was saying, hey, it triggers, they do X, Y, Z. This is the thing about it. I can't come to my friends on certain things, trauma, traumatic things, anxiety, stress, and more. If I need a therapist where this is them dumping, I can dump things on them. A good therapist doesn't want to see you again. They want to get to a resolution of what's going on. But if you're not going to a therapist, it's almost like how they're saying we need black men in the community for young boys. If we can't even find grown men in the community, no matter if it's fathers, uncles, grandfathers, then you're definitely not going to find somebody who can legitimately talk to you about trauma and more. So that's why I feel that therapy is nice. That's why I think that Michael B. Jordan and more, not necessarily is doing it for fame, but I think it's one of those situations where, like I said, we talk about PTSD, systemic racism, and more. We talk about how we code switch at work, how we code switch depending on what area you live in your community versus how you are in your home. If your home is comfortable, if not, if you have toxic things in your home, you're code switching to keep the peace. So that's why I think therapy is nice. And prime example, like I always tell people, soul food. We would rather hold somebody in the back because we don't want to give them the proper help or understand what's going on, no matter if it's a mental illness, no matter if it's anxiety and more. I think it's only right that we examine things, think outside of the box that generations before us didn't want to do. So that's why I said with all the PTSD within our history and more, because and this again is just going off of what social media, we got PTSD and you know how I'm about trending things. I think the therapy, I mean, I think you're doing your family or yourself a disservice if you don't at least try.
Not to cut you off, but I don't know if you realize even what you said and what you were speaking about, it pretty much tied in with what I said, where you was even saying like, you know, you think therapy is good because you don't have those outlets. So that's why I said it goes right back to those outlets and those people. If you don't have those people around you that you can be all the way open with, then I can see, you know, why you say, okay, well, I'm gonna go to this therapist because they don't know me. So right. I can't tell this particular person this much because you know, again, it goes back to that fear. I don't know how they go view me. So I tell them a little bit, but I get a therapist to call and let everything completely out.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I say I think it's important that we you know, some black men reach out to relieve, because like you said, it ties into our health. Because if we start code switching in the workplace, code switching in our community,
and that's one of the things that I look at is that, man, it's crazy that we're having this conversation. You look at the book that TD Jakes wrote called He Motions, and what Jericho was discussing about making sure you don't get too emotional, because when you get too emotional, we think, man, that's why you have young men killing each other. They thinking with their emotions. They're not thinking logical. They're not thinking with rational thinking. They thinking, oh man, with their emotions. But the book that TD Jakes wrote, and this will help me through a lot of stuff, is that I read that book, and I read the book several times. I read it front to back. In He Motions, He Motions.
Check it out.
And he wrote that book in tale to talk about the same thing that Jericho is saying that we could go to a therapist, but we don't need to let the therapist keep making us be emotional to where it's bringing more and more pain to us. We need a therapist done. That's why you supposed to build yourself with a team of people, even if it takes you years to do it. But you build a team of people around you that you can dump some of those things off on, and that you don't have to be emotional about it. You could just be truthful about it, and you can leave it there. I think that even like with us having this conversation here, it's just the simple fact of you and I having a relationship. I shared with you about the situation with my dad, and I haven't even shared with nobody else. And that's because it's your face I'm seeing. It's the person that I know that when my grandmother died, that person was there. You get what I'm saying? So you got to understand that we as black men, we got to understand that people don't talk about it and we don't discuss it a lot, but we have to also know our balance. So you could go talk to a therapist, but you also got to know not to let them bring you along to your emotions a lot, to where you're not making good decisions or you're reacting to the emotion of it.
Absolutely.
I forgot to kind of touch on this that ties in with everything also. And we're talking about even communication and even speaking to one another. But I think one of the biggest problem also is social media, because the conversations are not too much one-on-one no more, but they're digital conversations.
Right.
You know, so whether you send a message back and forth, versus that one-on-one in person, not no FaceTime, not no texting back and forth. But hey, bro, let's go to lunch, sit down. I need to talk to you in person. We need to just have this real conversation. Like, hey, what's going on?
Absolutely.
Oh, wives, girlfriends not going. No, y'all stay at home or whatever. Hey, I need to go talk to the fellas real quick. That's it. Whether it's one or just that, a couple where you can get multiple inputs, but everybody just laying everything on the table, being open and not being scared of being, vulnerable.
And that's the thing that I talk about when I say we as a community and a race, we lost toss and texture. I'm old school. I would rather show up for a family portrait. Exactly. Because you're going to get that talk from grandma, whoever, you're going to get that work. They're going to give you that work when they see you versus just being on Facebook and you make a collage and say, but everybody, happy birthday to my family. I'm not for that.
Like you said, you old school. I'm like that. And I'm the go-to person, even in my family, especially based on what I do. And not just the family, but other people, they get nervous when they be like, I need to talk to you about this. Text me or something. I'm like, nah, we gonna meet up. I'll see you. They be like, uh-oh.
Hey,
I'm like, nah, we talking in person.
Don't text me a real conversation. Yeah, that's what I tell people. I don't text real conversation.
But it's so hard. It's so hard. Me being, even though I'm not that young, I just find it so easy sometimes to have those conversations through text. Even though I've been told before, don't text real conversation because the person can't. And me being a broadcast journalist major, I know that in-person conversations are the best because you can read each other's cues. You can see that the reaction in the person. You look for those twinkles in the eye, the twitches.
Yeah, because even like you said, you gotta realize even in conversations. Yeah, I was going to just say that, even the nonverbals, because like between, 70 to 93% of communication is nonverbal. So you need to pick up on those keys. So even if you need to pull it out from one another.
Listen,
but sometimes
you need to pull it out. So if you sitting there talking to your brother, and you like, what's going on? Oh, nothing. You see his head there. Hey, no, you about to tell me what's going on. Come on, it's me and you.
Right.
Talk to me.
Talk to me.
What's going on?
A text message is nothing but an open-ended question, and y'all need to stop that. I do not text real conversations.
Man, that could lead to a lot of misleading things.
Hey, I'm
misleading conversations,
and I've learned that.
Yeah, because how it's interpreted though too. So you interpret it incorrectly. You might be like, "Hey, what's up?" Be like, "What you mean? What's up?"
Voices I hear in my head.
If I'm what's up, like hi, like what
if I'm already agitated with you, your text message is agitating me.
I learned that today. I learned today. We're in the car, and I'm like, I'm about to text the message to the young lady that's about to do my hair. And that boy, CJ, like, man, fool, call her. Don't be texting her. He like, you wasting all this texting her. Just tell her. And I was like, you sure right. I call her and I tell her. And he was like, see, that only lasted 20 seconds where you was about to take 2-3 minutes out your day. You thinking it's quicker.
He was driving, so I was like, nah. So,
at the red light, man.
Brothers, this is my next question, and I'm not gonna be before you long. All right. So this is near and dear to me. How do you feel about the outcry of Black women about their value in America, workplace, and from Black men? Because it was a turn. George Floyd was one thing, but when I heard them sisters still yelling out Breonna Taylor, I said, oh, snap. It's getting real because they want to know that they are valued. They have a voice to say, I feel like I'm not valued in life or death, and more. How do you feel about the Black woman experience, them being the most educated, the creative? Sometimes I believe wordplay comes into things when you hear words like submissive / yet they have to be a role. How you have Chicago where the women are leading the marches through the neighborhoods where men are not leading those marches. How do you feel about the stand that Black women took last year and didn't let up? Because I don't know if you recognize it, but I immediately recognized it was like, oh, it's about to get real. Because I feel like Black women always profess their love for Black men, period. Just randomness, random on IG, in person, social media. They always profess their love for us. Not saying all Black men don't, because I'm not generalizing. But sometimes reciprocity doesn't happen unless it's a hashtag.
Hold on now.
Or
You gotta watch that. When you
I'm
say
just
they
being
profess
real.
they love for us,
They do.
they'll love us 1 minute
No, I'm just saying.
and they will show us love. They showed us love.
Okay.
And then the next minute they beat us down.
No.
Then the next minute they uplift us. Then the next minute something we did or something that a man did, and they back on us again.
Well, here,
it's an ebb and flow. It's an ebb and flow about that now.
Let's listen to the question that I have. Okay, let me ask you a question. I don't know if you want. Let me ask you a question. Do you or do you not hear black women profess their love to black men all the time?
Yeah, but honestly, we have to do the same, man.
Honestly, I'm not saying that we don't have to do the same. I just hear.
Honestly, some.
I hear the women that uplift us, and I hear the women that tear us down.
So listen,
and it's like an ebb and flow.
But this is the thing. This is the thing about it, and I think this is what's wrong with black men in America. A black woman can tell you, "I've given birth. My body naturally goes through changes. I can feed an entire baby. I can push a baby out. I am one of the most educated people in America. My hair is an issue. The way my clothes feel is an issue. The way I don't get paid is an issue."
I love you for having those. I love you for having those babies. I love you for carrying those babies. I appreciate you and value you so much for being that woman to go through all those traumas. But I'm also the man that's gonna tell a woman, "Baby, you look gorgeous and fine and beautiful just the way you are, whatever weight you are." And she gonna be like, "Well, I don't look good in the mirror." And I'm telling her, "Baby, she just okay. She's fine."
This is the reason why I'm saying this. I believe that after a woman, and you're rare. I mean, not you're rare, but that's a nice response. But too many times after women explain what's going on with them, men have this, but it's hard being a man.
It's hard being a man, but it's hard being a woman. It's hard on both sides.
But
each gender has their own struggles.
Okay, so how do you feel about this? So this is the question. We're gonna let you answer the question instead, because see, naturally you jumped in. It was like, but they beat us down.
Like my man, Mr. Young said,
let's answer the basic question, because if as a man you did not feel a black woman coming to herself, kind of like Lovecraft Country.
Black women have been in that self.
Listen,
they've been empowered.
Listen, I believe that black women have been empowered, and you have an independent thing, and just like we have our things. But last year, if they didn't show up and show out,
but they've been showing up, showing out.
Listen, so this is the question.
They've been showing. They have been showing up and showing out for the last 10 years.
Just give me 1 second, and we can all answer the question. So. How do you feel about the outcry of black women and their value in America and workplace from black men? How do you feel about the stance that black women took last year? We continuously, and not saying they didn't talk about George Floyd or anything else, but they continuously kept their young lady's name and other young ladies from the past prevalent in today's time, and made sure they hashtag to keep their names relevant.
Well, for me, having 3 daughters is one of the best things that I've seen in a long time. You know, even though I don't value watching no Wives of Atlanta or any crazy show like that, I try to instill something that's more positive and give my daughters more positive images. Mm-hmm. But now that conversation that you are having, that I have that conversation a lot with my wife. Like, who's dealing with the most? Who's dealing with the worst of what the world is dishing out? What I had to realize, and I have to understand, is that what divides us as a household. You gotta understand, bro. It's bigger than what I think I'm better than her. She thinks she's better than me, or she's dealing with more crap than I am, or I'm dealing with more crap than she is. Because one of the things is that we got to keep the family unit together. That is what's missing in our communities, and that's what's lacking. So if we working together, it doesn't matter what the hell you go through and what the hell I go through. If we go together, we're going to conquer the shit together. And part of my language, I just had to put it in that term. Okay. But you got to understand that when you look at like my brother said, I understand you carried the baby. I understand you did this. I understand you did that. But it's so many other things that I deal with as a man that being in this dark skin, sometimes you don't understand just as well. I don't know what you understand, feel as a woman in your black skin. So I have to be understanding on both levels to like, I can't say that to you and she can't say it to me. But I think what's happening is we keep saying it to each other, and that's where the split is.
So do you agree? Hold on, no. I'm sorry about this. Sound like my mic was messed up. So I guess what I'm saying is, do you feel that this is the first year that we acknowledge what Black women truly go through? Because we've heard about it for years. You know what I'm saying? And Black women, wait, just give me 1 second. They've voiced their opinion. They've said things, but as we say, we overlook things. I think last year, 2020 was a breaking point for sisters, and I feel that it. I mean, I feel it was, and I haven't felt that way since, you know, the Black Panther movement when women were doing great things. But I think last year.
So you forgot about the movement with Michelle Obama. I feel like women have always had. I feel like women in the last 10 years have been empowered. They have been empowered, and it didn't happen when we had the atrocities with our sisters dying. It didn't happen with our men dying. I feel like women have been heard. Their voices have been heard. Now, when you ask that question, are you saying have their voices been heard by Black America or have their voices been heard by white America? Because to me, their voices were heard, have always been heard by Black America. Now, whether the white America has taken them seriously or with the same mustard, yeah, I feel like the last 4 or 5 years, white America is starting to hear our Black women. But in the Black communities, I feel like our Black women have been heard, and we've always heard them loud and clearly. And in my eyes, I don't know, you say I'm rare, but I feel like we've always been there for them. Baby, I understand you had them babies for me, and I love you for that. Baby, I understand you gained weight, but in my eyes, you are a queen and you are beautiful. I feel like not all men, but most of the men have been reassuring our Black women. And it's just an ebb and flow. I always feel it's an ebb and flow. For the amount of Black men that are uplifting our Black women, you're gonna have the amount of Black men that's gonna tear down our Black women. For the amount of women you have uplifting Black men, you're gonna have some of those women who are tearing down Black men. So I always say it's an ebb and flow, it's a give and take. Their voices, people think their voice is loud this year because it seems like they've come together and they're loud. But for me, I've been seeing that movement for the last 10 years. Okay, I've been seeing that. I've been seeing the Black woman being educated, the Black woman voicing her opinion, the Black woman voicing her struggles and her stressors. And I feel like as Black men, we have been hearing that, and we have been behind them for majorities, backing them up and understanding their issues. But at the same time, as Black men, we have our own egos, and we do tend to have our butts and our cries, but it's been an ebb and flow. I always say it's a give and take. I never say it's leaning one side. It's always a give and take, like a marriage. She said, go left. You said, go right. Well, when we agree to come to the middle and go through the middle.
This is the reason I asked that question, because I posed this question in Facebook groups and period. When I asked Black women, do you feel protected from Black men? Sadly,
some of them are gonna say
but
no.
listen. A majority.
We're gonna do a poll on that one. I need to see.
I'll do a poll on it. Majority would say no. Now it's different things that each and every woman would like to have versus if I made that situation for men.
But when you ask that question, ask them. You can't rely. Don't go to the past. Don't give me your past answer. Give me your present last 10 years.
Yes,
so
that's
you
what
feel
they give.
That Black men have supported them, and if
they don't feel. This is what they will say. They will say, I don't feel protected. That's number one. Number two, they will tell you, I don't feel like they truly understand what I'm going through. And this is from the high paying young lady to the everyday paying. So it's not this queendom / she just holding.
I think where you going with that, CJ, is that how you see the Black woman stands up for the Black man, like you see in a picture. You see a picture of a mother protecting her son from getting stabbed or shot or killed by the police officer.
Just professing that love, period.
Yeah, the thing is that as Black men, I think a lot of times that they don't get to see us on social media or the media professing our love for them. So therefore, it's not reciprocated a lot, and they think we don't profess it. Because I guarantee you walk in this house, at my house, all four of these women in this
And
house
that's the
will
thing.
say that man professes love for us.
And that's what a friend of mine said. You don't have to put everything out. And I understand that because I'm not a social media person myself.
Right.
However, Jericho will tell you words have power. And
Right.
it's so inviting when it doesn't matter if you know somebody. You can try to love on somebody that don't want to be loved all day, but sometimes when you put that energy, because that's what people are saying now, that energy, oh, the frequencies, energies, and more, or blessings. Sometimes when you wake up, when you don't get it at home, that fuels you. It feels
Right.
so. That's my thing. Sometimes, and I've seen it, and I've watched certain TV shows. Don't get me wrong, where you will see somebody getting paid this much, and you see a woman getting paid this much, but she's more educated. That's hurtful. It's
Right.
crazy. I couldn't even fathom it, being in debt from school and not being able to pay my debt off because I'm getting paid under what a man is getting paid, or because of XYZ, or I can't wear a certain hair color and more. So it's
But
not.
like I said, that goes back to them seeing us stand up for them. And a lot of times they don't get to see it. I mean, that's just
That's a harsh reality to me.
yeah, that's just the harsh reality of it all, is that they don't get to see it. And if they don't see it, then they gonna always feel like we don't do it. But what about the man that did? What about the man that go out there and say, "Hey, hold up, I'm vouching for this woman
Mhm.
because she has the credentials to be paid this." And a lot of times you don't hear those stories. You don't hear those wins that men give out for women. And I think a lot of times it goes back and forth on the level of, like, you got to understand what level you going to on that. Because I guarantee you, my brother, you and me both was raised by single moms that nobody can tell us crap, dilly squat about our mama gonna be dead to the wrong. We gonna stand up for her, and she gonna see it. But are you doing the same thing for your wife? Are you doing the same thing for your children? Are you doing the same thing for your sisters, your cousins? I got some cousins that they know if they call me, I'm going to bat for them.
Absolutely. And that comes from character. It's who they are.
Right.
Dang,
So you gotta just look at it from there.
Can I hear an echo?
Yeah.
You good now?
Okay. So hey, I'm not gonna be before you long. More than anything, I'm glad that your brother's here. And this is just scratching the surface. I didn't have a lot of time to prep. Unfortunately, I didn't do my due diligence here, but I wanted to reach out to you all. The last question I have, and this is just random. Either you can give me
not to cut you off, even before you get to that question, because I was sitting back just just absorbing everything that everybody was saying. But I think even with the initial question you even asked, I think the reason even more so that you may see these women even stepping up is simply because we have not. And not to say that all of us, but we have not done it. We have not done it where it's visible enough, where even seen it for one. And it goes back to this role reversal, which ties into other thing you gentlemen were saying, this role reversal. Now, this even to kind of take it back, even let's say even we can even go back to the 50s as an example. You had more of those men that were working, taking care of their family, where you had the wife and the woman that was at home. For example, they wasn't really going out in the work field. If they was, they might have been doing part-time things. It wasn't nothing too much. But then as they started demanding it, and of course, even wanting to be in the work field, that's when everything slowly began to transition and start to change.
Right.
So as the time went by, then you even take it and fast forward even up until even the 80s and the crack epidemic and stuff like that. And a lot of us were raised in single family homes and even with our mothers. So it became to the point where the woman had to take on a masculine role as a man. So even with them beginning to work these jobs, and some of them are and have been getting paid even more than us with certain jobs, not all, but certain jobs, they feel now, okay, well, I have to step into this masculine role and I'm making this much. So they have that attitude in a sense.
But what makes it a masculine role? That's the portion.
Because
that's the touchy portion for
here's
me.
the thing: what makes
think,
it a masculine role? Because we're supposed to be the leaders of the family, are we not?
Well, this is my thing.
household.
This is my thing. On paper, you can go. On paper, you can say X, Y, Z. But I think each household is differently, and if you have more common sense than your mate, sometimes you're set up and designed to do more.
Pause real quick, because it's a hierarchy to everything, and it is our natural role. So I'll give you an example. Let's say, since everything almost balanced and equal, right? You're saying how every household is different. So if you're in a bed at night, you and your lady and stuff, and a burglar breaks in, would it be right for you to tell her, "Hey, babe, go get up and go get that"?
Well, it's a difference. And wait. This is the reason why I'm saying this. It's because on one hand, we have people telling people to be free thinkers, break out of the norm, break out of what's being drilled. Wait. We have people that will say, stop with being conditioned XYZ. So this is my thing. I'll be transparent. The women that I've dated have always made more money than me. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Some things that if I know that I'm smart at, I do. If I know they're better in, they do. So this whole hierarchy in the household, sure, a man it's a beautiful thing to be a man to say, hey, I'm going to make these decisions. But I guarantee you, ain't no man just saying, hey, we doing X, Y, Z, and that's it, and walk away. Unless you don't have a Claire Huxtable, because I love a Claire Huxtable.
Yeah, and
that's what I'm saying. It's a different.
And that goes back to and that goes back even to the comprehension of understanding like the roles, and even like we spoke about earlier. I'm not sure who said it, and spoke about even being submissive as an example. That's looked at as okay. Yeah, that's looked at as being so harsh. Like, oh no, I never do that. What are you talking about? I never be
that's
submissive.
my thing. As far as when you say women are being masculine, these female masculine, that's what I'm saying. What is that?
Man, thing of masculinity, bro. You know what masculinity is.
Does that mean that they're doing? It's just like on Father's Day. If I want to give my mother a Father's Day gift because I'm saying thank you for XYZ, then all of a sudden that's just, oh, she can never be a man, but I'm saying thank you for being there when nobody else was. No matter, not saying that I think of you in a masculine role, it's just that thank you for holding it down and going the extra mile.
Well, that's different, bro. That's different.
Yeah, and I understand that.
Than saying that a woman has a masculine role just because she has to provide for a child or a family because nobody is there.
That's nurturing. That's a woman being nurturing when it's a mother. You can't when Jericho is saying masculine role, he's talking about.
So what is nurturing versus masculine? I want to make sure that
and that's what I was going to break down for you. That's what I was going to give to you.
No, I'm saying because it's not that I'm not tripping, but it's if people are watching,
yeah, I know it. You go back to Jericho's example that he used, right? He said, if some burglar breaking your house, are you gonna say, baby, go catch that? Or are you gonna say, hold up, I got this. This is my house.
How to work that heater better than me? If she got a license.
So the thing is, hold up. And the thing is, when I'm saying nurturing is, a mother can understand the difference when her baby needs food, whatever that baby's feeling hurt. Your mom know if she talks to you on the phone without a shadow of a doubt, if your voice don't sound like CJ, she's gonna say, "What's wrong, son?"
Yeah.
That's the nurturing part of her. The masculine part of us being men and being men in America is that, bro, it's a walk you have with it. You walk, I walk in my house, my children run to me and give me a hug because the protection don't walk through the door. They, as you were saying, they can feel the energy. When my wife put on clothes and we go out into public, son, she feels pretty and beautiful and like a queen. So everybody know, oh, that couple right there on fire. That's the masculinity of it. The nurturing part of it is the loving, the caring, the understanding. Bro, there's some things that I won't even crack a smile about. And they looking like, what's wrong with you? Because I'm being masculine about it. Well, what I'm smiling about, we had to do that shit anyway. You get what I'm saying?
I mean,
But-
I think, and that's why I say, me, I
understand, but
ask these other questions.
I know you gotta play devil's advocate, baby. I know you do. I get it, but it's just, bro. When you look at it, is that a lot of times that we get that confused, and like Jericho was saying earlier, is that we are trying to downplay our masculinity as men and letting the society tell us how to be black men in America, and
it's only targeted. Not to cut you off. But again, look at everything. It's only targeted towards us. You look at every other race, it's not targeted towards them.
Give me 1 second. Lovecraft Country portion. Do you feel that it was so many intelligent black women in the days that shrunk themselves for the sake of a man?
You say it was so many?
Do you feel that it's a lot of intelligent women, black women in the world that shrunk themselves for the sake of being married, for the sake of this role, for the sake of knowing their place in this hierarchy when they had a dummy and they were brilliant?
In a sense, I get what you're saying, and I think yes, but here's the reason why. Because of course, me and you even speak about religion, and we go in different areas even with that. But if you look at everything in the universe and how everything was created, everything was set in place. Also with men and women, it's easy for them to have that over us because women outnumber men anyways. And depending on where you at, the number is going to be a lot higher. So it's easy.
I'm saying women have shrunk themselves to go along with dummy situations.
But that's when that came in with that line. That's what that quote came in behind. Every great man there's a great woman.
I understand
that was for them brothers who couldn't execute and couldn't get things done.
So this is my thing. We're talking about a hierarchy. We just spent 15 minutes on a hierarchy on who's gonna get the burden.
I'm gonna roll out that bed. I'm gonna roll out that bed and take her gun. And I'm gonna go shoot.
You're gonna miss everybody, and she's gonna pick up the gun in one kill shot.
I might miss everybody, but I think she ain't going to it first.
Do you think it should be equal between a man and a woman?
I think it depends on the situation, and yes, but it all depends on what we're talking about. It all depends on what we're talking about. If you say 50-50 down the line, that would just be completely irrational. But if we're talking about strong points versus, if we're talking about strong points versus weak points, then you have room to understand, okay, this is what I'm strong at, this is what I'm weak at.
Okay, so that goes right back. Versus, that goes right back to having a hierarchy, because, and I'm not sure if I told you this, you look at an equal sign, and they say it's supposed to be equal. You have a bar right here and a bar right here. It's still one on top of the other. If it was really equal, it'd be just like this. Side. It's not, it's like that. So even if it's 60-40.
Well, are we talking about doing a chart to see it, or are we just talking about verbally saying it? You have to do the math to make sure it's balanced. Oh man! Look, hey, I'm almost out of time.
Hey man, CJ, you want to play devil's advocate? I know this part of him. That's what he's doing. But bro, you gotta listen to you have to listen to what everybody got valid great points, and
absolutely.
And the thing is that a lot of times when you look at it, I think that's where we losing our young men at, because they don't know how to be masculine. And a lot of times you thinking masculinity is dealing with strength and all that stuff. No, masculinity come with all different other things.
Being vulnerable.
And I think that with that whole thing being said, is that when you saying, is it okay for, I don't look at my mom ever being masculine. I've been looking at my mom as she was always nurturing. She's still nurturing to this day. But my mom couldn't tell me how to think like a man. And I think there's a lot of times that's where we lose focus, because we trying to say, oh, we giving her, I tell my mom Happy Father's Day. But I know she's a woman.
That's the reason why I said that, was because, every Father's Day, you hit the people on social media again, and you know how I feel
I
about
understand. Yeah.
Oh, XYZ. But look, that's another topic. Listen, I just want to give y'all a platform right now. If y'all have anything going on, any organizations, or
Man,
if you want to leave
we gotta
your
revisit this conversation, man. We need to
absolutely,
have
and
this like
it will be
every
better
other
prepared.
Friday or something, bro.
It will be prepared. It will be better. Starting with Jericho's and then Collins and you. If you have any platforms, if you have anything coming up, if you're networking with people, go ahead and drop that information. I'm going to ask you for that bio information. So when I post this on Facebook, it'll also be, on YouTube. I'm going to post it it'll be available on Spotify, Google Radio, and more. I'll ask for that information. But if you want to drop anything, no matter if it's the law of subtraction.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So yeah, you dropped that for me.
Absolutely. This is the
Yeah,
book.
they can. So
Hey,
yeah, people can
when I
connect
tell
with
you I
me.
was scared to read Revelation, you know how when you was young, you was scared to read Revelation, but when you read Revelation, it made sense.
That book made sense.
Listen,
I need a copy.
I ain't gonna tell you, look, I underlined stuff, but go ahead, Jay.
Hey, so
Now I was gonna say, if anybody wants to connect with me, even on Instagram at gslifecoach.com, and then also even on Facebook, Jericho J Young. If you want to connect with me, have questions for me, or even want to pick my mind, that's fine.
if you want to connect with me, you can hit me on Instagram. Don't laugh at my Instagram handle. I'm a big dude, 6'8", 400. So it's certified Teddy 247. I knew he was gonna laugh.
Hey, wait. I would do it to this service because people think I be hating. This brother is backed by great founders, great men of vision. He hooked me up with my homeboy, and we don't even talk all the time, but Eyes has a great podcast. What's
Opinions While Black? Man.
Opinions While Black. I'm gonna plug that.
And I got a young lady, her name's Latoya. She has it's called Hate. She's trying to help people with personal growth and dealing with their stresses and just the different things that women don't talk about, the traumas and issues that trigger you and how to deal with them. So you can also go check her out. And hey, we was passing by today. We seen this fine young lady, man.
Man, look, stop. Just stop. All right.
She got that drink the tea.
What's your fraternity?
Hey, my fraternity, man. I'm backed by the great Phi Beta Sigma Incorporated. Yeah, I know you hate me. These Kappa men be hating on me, man.
I'm not.
I'm not a Kappa, but I just feel the Kappa-ness in the aura and in the air. But hey, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. I love all my frat brothers, all my fraternity
Absolutely.
brothers. Man, they show me support when I need it. They're always there uplifting me in the community. So you can always check us out. We always doing something in the community trying for brotherhood. But that's all fraternities. I'm not gonna sit there and put fraternity down. All fraternities are always out there striving to do something. Everybody had a different vision, a different plan, and a different vision. And that's okay. I'm cool with that. We all went a different way, but at the same time, we all are for the betterment of our community, and that's what I believe.
Zoe, what you got, man? I know you got some good stuff going on.
All right, man. Of course, you can follow me at CWade5, and that's with an S at the end because, the family unit is 5 of us right now. And, I really just got started in Instagram probably a year ago. But I am one of those people. I am a motivational speaker. I do go out and do speeches. If you want to hear some stuff, I do drop a lot of nuggets on some things about life, about things in general. I also go out and help the youth on a routinely basis in my community. But I'm also into crypto and real estate. So if you want to learn things about that, you can hit me up. I always drop nuggets on my Instagram page, sometimes Facebook, or even sometimes I do a Facebook Live. So just hit me up. And, all great men think alike, you know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things that I always say, if some of my brothers hear me out there, travel like my brothers.
Right on. Hey, and again, I'm Jay Davis. You can find me on YouTube under JAY DAVI5 or the 3% Show. You can find me on Spotify once I upload it under the 3% Show. Look, brothers, it was a pleasure. Again,
I appreciate you,
your information. Hopefully,
Yes, sir.
you all felt comfortable, had a pretty decent time. It was pretty light this time. I don't know what next time will be like, because I'm gonna go talk to the ladies. I'm gonna find some ladies. So you might watch that episode and be like, "Oh, okay, I got an opinion about something." Yeah, had y'all chance to unload, but hey, you know. But more than anything, man, I think it's a blessing that we can all come together and talk. Like I said, this young man, like, it's the energy. It's always been there as far as one to do, and I would tell my wrongs more than my rights first. So I think it's a stepping stone. I'll get your information. Also, if you like the merch, the 3% show.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. We gotta get one of those.
Let me cover my merch.
You got the 3% show with the Jay Davis hashtag. Some people have been asking about it. I do have a link. I will put it in for blending expressions. Young lady has done a great job. She has done a mask for me, a shirt for me. I have a banner that I'm about to do. She's done all my tumblers. So if there's anything that you would like. Also, you can find me on IG. Unfortunately, my 3% show IG is not working, but you can find me under Davis Inc. DAVI5 INC 1978 at Gmail.
Letting you know, yo.
No, at Instagram. All right. Well, hey, I'm going to end this. If you have anything, man, just go ahead and hit me up. Oh, okay. Okay. What's that? Come on now.
Works.
I'm telling you, this how it is, man. You got to open that mind on how money works. We got to understand that before we can get to the levels we need to get to in our community, bro.
Absolutely. And like I said,
check that book out, though.
Now I was gonna say after you read that How Money Works, and if you get a chance to get my book, check out that chapter I got on money in there too.
Hey, yeah. Hey, most definitely, we'll link up. I'll get your information from CJ, and I'll get that book, man. I'm a reader, but I told you fundamentals, baby.
Why he got that cover? Why he got it upside down? I thought I was tripping.
It's the right way. It's the right way.
Things, man.
It's intentional. Yeah, it's intentional.
I like that.
But most definitely, man, I'm gonna get that book, Jericho, and check it out.
All right, man. Well, I'll tell you what, man. I love all of you all. Honestly, I can say that from the bottom of my heart. I love and respect of you all. And I can't say it's on an intimate level because I believe that I can be vulnerable in front of you, brothers. And I believe, like, you know, you said, take your face value or not. Either y'all run with it and tell the world, or y'all hold yourself accountable and y'all keep it, and vice versa. So I'm just proud of you all, the men that you are, the fathers that you are. And we out.
Salute you on another show too.
All right.